Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone. Welcome back, folks. Keep your drinks close. The truth here is going to sting a few fragile talking points. Stay ready for blunt questions, awkward pauses, and logic that makes the activists scramble for cover. First up, we've got Douglas Murray calmly schooling woke gender ideologues.
Gender ideologues have done something totally different. They've said, you don't have the right to have your own say in this. We are right, and you have to agree with us. They say, we're here, and instead of saying we're here, we're queer, and just get used to it, it's we're here, and as a result, biological reality doesn't exist. Well, clearly, this very, very idiotic ideology is causing havoc. Just today, Piers, there's another tape from a school in Scotland where some poor boy is having to explain to his teacher that there's only two biological sexes and that the gender woo-woo stuff is nonsense. And yet again, it's the student having to educate the teacher because the teacher has been indoctrinated into stupidity due to the gender ideologues.
Okay, Ava, you're laughing. Why?
It's just quite amusing, really. I mean, we're talking about children that are 12 and 13. I mean, when I was at school, I had a girl who identified as a whore.
Murray calmly steamrolls the entire ideology with basic reality. He lists their nonsense point by point, and she giggles, like that counts as a counter-argument. By the time she starts talking about kids identifying as farm animals, the whole ideology looks like a parody of itself. Next, here's a moment where a woke liberal proudly explains who should be deported, only to get absolutely blindsided.
Mass deportations have begun.
The only ones that should be deported are the white people because no white people actually belong in this country.
So where are you going?
You.
She confidently claims only white people should be deported, and then he calmly asks her a question that applies her own logic to herself. Her confident demeanor vanishes instantly, leaving her speechless and cursing. Now check this out, a man completely dismantling woke reporting with cold, hard logic.
Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old.
He doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages?
First, he drops 7 examples of corruption, each one more ridiculous than the last, and the reporter demands evidence, like it's some kind of magic spell. The reporter acts like hearing logic is some kind of trauma, because apparently admitting reality is optional when woke takes the stage. Here's a 12-year-old stepping up to the school board and calmly exposing woke double standards.
I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. I've been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Your arguments were weak, in my opinion. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. This right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution.
He points to his controversial shirt, hints at basic facts that apparently offend some adults, and questions why certain displays at school are totally fine while his opinion gets flagged. With a composed and confident tone, he puts wokeism on blast, leaving the adults stumbling for answers. Next up, a woke feminist confidently laying down the rules on who's allowed to speak.
I think anyone who hasn't experienced racism shouldn't say anything about it. Full stop.
5 years in a black
100%
neighborhood,
haven't.
I got in a fight every other day for it.
Okay, but that's...
Because I had red hair, they called me Rooster. I literally got in fights every day.
So you got bullied. Ooh.
That's not racism.
Exactly.
Oh, it's not.
It's discrimination based on what it is.
It's not. That's exactly what racism is.
They didn't stop.
He wasn't oppressed. We were the ones that oppressed, so you can't call that racism.
How are you oppressed?
No, but I'm
In 2023, how are you oppressed? Because I got news for you, honey. If you had a skill set that was worth something to somebody, you would be the richest here. I have a lot of young black men that follow me. There's no on earth I'm gonna let them believe that they have a lesser chance than anybody else if they just work their ass off. Bro, looking at racism is for broke people.
No.
It's not insulting. You lead with it. Get a new identity. I'm a black girl. What? You're so much more than that. You're so much more than that.
She immediately scrambles to downgrade what he said so it fits her script, because nothing terrifies woke activists more than someone breaking out of their boxes. The moment he questions her oppression routine, she's clinging to buzzwords like they're life support. This time, it's a woke teacher who thinks he's dropping knowledge bombs about gender and social constructs.
The federal government spending money based solely on tests hurts people because then we don't get the money going to critical thinking, which your misinformation machine succeeds on.
All right, hold on. So you would say I'm a misinformation machine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Fine. You're a teacher.
Yes.
What is a woman?
What is a woman? Oh, buddy. So we define gender as a set of preferences that you have. Gender is a set of preferences we have. Woman is a social construct that we've agreed upon. Typically, we imagine womanhood as makeup or whatever. There is a difference between the word woman and being a biological female. Woman is a social construct that we use. Listen for a second. I'm telling you what it means. There's a difference between biology and what we think
So
about.
I want to thank you for proving a great point.
What?
You are why we should eliminate the Department of Education. Thank you very much.
He starts talking about woman as a social construct, while the crowd groans and gasps as if they just heard a new language. Charlie Kirk calmly cuts through the chaos, pointing out the obvious, and suddenly the entire Department of Education is on trial. The teacher's big theory collapses under real-world logic, and the crowd goes wild. Here we have Ben Shapiro asking one harmless question and instantly turning a woke feminist confidence into dust.
If I call you a moose, are you suddenly a moose? Okay, if I redefine our terms. No, yes, that's right. Men and women are a completely different thing. This is true. Have you ever met a man or a woman? They're completely different.
You're a cat. It's not a thing. It's gender.
Let me ask you this. Okay, I won't ask you how old. I will ask you how old you are.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No, why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60? Why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60?
Gender, you can't.
You're right. Age is significantly less important than gender. You can't magically change your gender. You can't magically change you can't magically change your age.
The second he puts her logic next to basic reality, she freezes like the Wi-Fi went out. She tries to talk her way around it, but every sentence falls apart faster than the last. By the end, she is hanging on to whatever talking points she can grab while he walks circles around her. Next up, we've got a comedian ripping into college leftists who act like walking snowflakes whenever a conservative shows up.
The young people are so loose with the term like unsafe. It's like, I just don't feel safe. It's a leverage of power to phrase it like that. I feel unsafe that our university would let a Republican speak in the conference room. I feel unsafe that they would even let a conservative speak to us. They go to NYU, I'm like, you live in New York? You feel fine out there? You're in New York City, it's anarchy. But then Ben Shapiro comes and they're like, this is disgusting, how could anyone allow this threat to my life? It's insane.
He mocks them, whining about feeling unsafe and pretending the world is out to get them. The bit escalates when he points out the absurdity of NYU students fearing Ben Shapiro while living in the actual chaos of New York City. The crowd laughs as he exposes just how over-the-top and performative this campus panic really is. Here's a woke mom trying to lecture everyone about respecting identities and getting flattened by a teacher who refuses to play along.
Gordon mentioned before how he identifies as a man. I'd like to know how it's not rude from your perspective.
Because it's not true.
May I finish?
He's not a man.
When someone identifies a certain way, for you to tell them that that is not correct, that they are that particular gender or identity.
Why do I feel that it's right to tell them the truth?
But it's not
truth. The people who hate the truth, are because they see the truth as hateful. If you want to identify in any way you can, you're free to do so. But that does not mean that the rest of us have to join that illusion.
The moment she starts tossing out her scripted lines, he shuts it down with one blunt answer that leaves her blinking like she lost the rest of her argument backstage. She keeps reaching for the usual soft phrases, and he keeps cutting through them like he has no patience for pretend rules. Now check this out. A woke college student confidently dropping a fact about voting power and getting hit with reality so fast her brain doesn't know which way is up.
it takes at least 5 black voters to get the same amount of voting power as one white voter in Texas.
What?
It's a fact.
Black people have the same voting power as white people in America.
Well, obviously, but with the districts and stuff.
Every time she tries to save face with obviously but the districts, she just digs the hole deeper. The guy calmly drops the truth, and suddenly all her complicated excuses disappear faster than her confidence. Here comes a classic Piers Morgan taking on a woke activist who thinks calling everyone a bigot is clever.
You said white people are racist due to socialization in the same way that men are socialized to be sexist, heterosexual people are socialized to be homophobic. You are calling straight white guys like me a series of offensive, stereotypical labels, which I find very offensive.
Instead of taking it personally, please think about how to be part of the solution.
Why don't you think about being part of the solution?
I am part of the solution.
You're not. You're causing more division.
I'm not causing more division.
You're basically causing more division.
Yes, by speaking
by telling all white people they're racist.
Let me speak.
You don't think women can be sexist?
I don't think that women can enforce misogyny.
What a load of nonsense.
No.
She's tossing out vague moral lectures while he methodically points out how messy her logic really is. Every time she tries to sound profound, it just falls apart, leaving her clutching at excuses while he calmly dismantles the whole performance like it was never impressive to begin with. Now we have a moment that proves even a Senate hearing can turn into a roast session.
President Trump's tax on these judges has made for some major risks for these judges. I would ask you, Mr. Panuccio, as a partner in a law firm, have you ever taken to social media to personally attack a judge who ruled against you?
Well, let me just give you a quote. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with those awful decisions. That was something that Senator Schumer said, and I thought it was awful, and it unleashed a wave of violent threats against Supreme Court justices. I do think that probably...
Senator Klobuchar tries to flex her political chops, firing questions like she's in debate boot camp. Then Panuccio drops a quote from her own side, and suddenly she's laughing at her own colleagues' chaos. All that prep and seriousness melt away while the reality of woke political theater slaps her right in the face. Up next is a moment that makes you wonder if woke question and answer sessions are secretly comedy shows.
I just have to ask, what do you think of your mom?
What I think of my mom? It's actually my mom that instilled a lot of these ideas in me. She's the one that warned me.
So she's anti-woman too?
No, she's anti.
A young woman tries to corner the speaker with a serious question about his mom, probably expecting a moral confession. Instead, he drops a line so sharp it leaves the room in stunned laughter. All her careful setup melts away while he sits there calmly. Coming up, we've got Brandon Tatum delivering a reality check so heavy the woke crowd could file it as emotional damage.
There are dangerous, evil people in this world. And when that dangerous, evil person comes to your front door, force entry into your house with your children there, who are you going to call? You're not going to call the politicians. You're not going to call the activists who are out here defunding the police. You're going to call a man or a woman who's sworn to uphold the law wearing a badge. They're not going to be cowardice. They're not going to turn away from you because of your race or because of what you look like or because of your past mistakes. They're going to come into your house and they're going to protect you with their whole life. No matter what the consequences are, no matter if they never come home to see their family, they're going to be there for you. I made $40,000 a year. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I love my community. You couldn't pay me enough to put my life on the line. You can't pay me enough to have to worry about not coming home every night to my children. You owe it to America to explain what part of the police department you plan on cutting.
While he talks about actual danger and real responsibility, the same people screaming to scrap the police are nowhere to be found. They love slogans until something hits their front door. Then suddenly the activists go silent and the professionals they mocked become their emergency plan. Now check this clip from ASU where 2 students are confronted over a Police Lives Matter sticker.
What did I do wrong? You're offensive. Police lives matter? That's a job. You can choose to be a police. I don't choose to be black.
We've got a Police Lives Matter sticker and we're getting kicked out.
You're making this space uncomfortable. But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space is?
White's not a culture?
No. No, it's not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
Choosing to be a cop doesn't make your life disposable. You pick the job isn't the mic drop she thinks it is, and claiming one group has culture while another magically doesn't. That's a double standard. None of it actually challenges the sticker or the basic point. People in a dangerous job deserve support, period. Up next, we've got a woke liberal confidently preaching her opinions until a single, simple question completely shuts her down.
You haven't seen this?
That's him!
Holy.
Why are people here screaming Viva Mexico, but they don't want to live in Mexico?
Wait for it.
I actually don't want to answer your questions.
She starts off thinking she's got all the answers, then freezes mid-thought when asked why people cheer Viva Mexico but don't want to live there. Her lip-biting hesitation ends with a sheepish refusal to answer. Here's a good one. We've got the commentator absolutely lighting up a woke argument that was already hanging by a thread.
This is not a representation of how I feel. This was just an opinion, just me reviewing two other women having a conversation, and neither one of them are right according to me. I just want people to listen so that they can figure out which one they believe. Is that not fair?
So just to understand, you would be okay to dismember that baby provided it was injected into the heart with a substance that is actually used for lethal injections and executions, state executions. You would be okay with piercing that baby's soft body tissue into the heart with a substance that stops his or her heart. And then after the heart hopefully has stopped beating, then it's okay to start the dismemberment process. That's okay with you, but it's not okay if the injection hasn't been done first. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that sounds like the more humane way.
So are you opposed to the death penalty?
Yes, but then
how can you support giving a lethal injection to a developing baby when you're opposed to giving it to even a prisoner who's been tried in a court of law for heinous crimes?
I'm glad that they had an opportunity to have that conversation, and I think the woman is a hypocrite, and you know which one it is.
He barely even tries to hide how ridiculous her logic sounds, just sits there letting the silence roast her before pointing out the obvious contradiction. And when he calls her a hypocrite at the end, he doesn't even need to raise his voice. The calm tone makes the hit even harder. Next up, we have a guy breaking down the woke ideology.
One can go wrong. There are a lot of enemies of innovation. There are people who don't believe that economic growth and prosperity is a good thing. The proponents of the degrowth theory, for example. Then you have bureaucracies which may not necessarily want to kill off growth, but they will do so simply through the natural expansion of their powers and how bureaucracies function. Wokeism is a great enemy of innovation and of progress because it has a chilling effect on freedom of speech. And freedom of thought. You cannot really have proper freedom of thought if you haven't been exposed to different ideas, some of which may have been banned because they are not in accordance with the latest reiteration of wokeism.
He goes straight for the part that woke people hate most, pointing out how their constant outrage freezes real discussion. And the best part is how calmly he says it, like he's tired of adults acting like hearing another idea counts as emotional danger. The more he talks, the more you can see woke logic falling apart in real time. This time, Michael Knowles lays out the chaos of woke gender ideology and the excuses that never seem to end.
Whenever you ask a transgender activist to explain even the basic premise of the movement, is they'll immediately say, well, who cares? Why are you so obsessed with this? I'm not obsessed with this. I'm not the one who started sending men into the women's bathroom and taking away their trophies and castrating kids. I'm perfectly happy with the way things have worked for thousands of years. What is the premise of your movement? But they always deflect from that. They always withdraw from the debate. They always try to change the subject because there is no answer. So you ask me, why do you even care? What's the purpose of knowing someone's biology? Well, for starters, because we have civil rights specifically for women in the United States. We have special bathrooms for women. We have special sports leagues for women. We have all sorts of special places and rights and privileges. So if now some men, people who at the very least appear to be men, are claiming a right to go into those women's bathrooms, then we either have to abolish all of the special rights and privileges that have existed for women for all of human history, or they need to explain to me how those men are actually women.
He calmly points out that when you ask the basic question, the activists immediately deflect, change the subject, or act offended. Meanwhile, he highlights the very real consequences: men in women's bathrooms, boys taking girls' trophies, and confusion that's supposedly progress. And finally, here's a speaker who cuts through the silence around women's spaces and delivers a line that hits harder than anything else you'll hear today.
Men in women's spaces now, what effect do you think that's had on women and their sense of self and their sense of dignity? And I ask that question, and particularly here in an American context. You look around, some of the most accomplished and influential women in professional sports, in business, in media, in entertainment, seem unwilling or unable to either define what a woman is, or to say anything in support of women that could be taken as a critique of transgenderism. So in effect, what I would like to say is that those women, those sort of apostles of second-wave feminism, have finally found a group of men they can submit to.
Delano Squires nails it. He calmly points out the absurdity of powerful women refusing to define what a woman is, and exposes how fear of contradicting transgender ideology has flipped the entire conversation. His final line hits hard because it reveals the truth. The same voices that once fought for women now fold the moment the issue becomes politically risky. And that's today's serving of woke exposure. If you enjoyed watching Common Sense roast performative outrage, like, share, and subscribe for more clips of people getting schooled in real time. See you next round.